how do we engage this in conversation, especially with family or friends who might not have the same understanding of Holy Week, who might not believe in the same things as we do? How do we make this an intentional conversation during Holy Week for our friends and our family who we want to share the beauty and the importance of Holy Week to?
Well, that's a really good question, Joyce. And I think the beauty about the gospel narratives, it invites us to read the scripture in story style.
Hmm.
So we're not reading like a boring list of rules.
Mhm.
We're not looking into like just random names that we don't really know. The Holy Week narratives invite us to a part of the Bible that is full on storytelling.
Mhm.
And I think for non for non-Christian friends or family, people who are exploring Christianity, people are asking questions or maybe don't even care about it at all,
Yeah.
engaging them by inviting them to read into these stories is I think a good way of introducing them
Mhm.
to the wonderful meaning of Holy Week.
Yeah.
So, and there's plenty of stories. Like if you want, and it for me, like you have the capacity to get to, understand who your friends are.
Mhm.
Maybe which character here will they relate most with.
Mhm.
Like imagine, for example, imagine the women coming into the tomb. Their expectation is it's sealed.
Yeah.
The tomb is sealed. But they go anyway because they're thinking the stone will be rolled away by somebody.
Yeah.
It's gonna be taken care of. And sometimes some people they need that encouragement. There's like you know uh, metaphysical stones in our lives that's
Mhm.
blocking us from encountering Jesus.
Yeah.
But if we don't step up and show up,
Mhm.
then we're not gonna see that what we perceive as a block is actually going to be rolled away. We don't know
Mhm.
how it's rolled away.
Yeah.
We don't know who's going to roll it away, but it was rolled away, and they saw the empty tomb. So you have that example as a particular character, the women, who you brought into the picture, and then you are now inviting someone to read it, and you could go as far as connecting it to a particular woman, Mary, who's crying at the tomb of Jesus. They've taken away my Lord,
Mm.
right? They've
Yeah.
taken away my Lord. And then you find this seemingly mysterious character who is initially introduced as a seeming gardener, be like Mary. And then suddenly there's a recognition. I
Mhm.
love Holy Week because I think this is an exciting thing because we're such a story loving community, like especially the Philippines. We love our K dramas, our
Mhm.
movies, our stories of heroes, and the Holy Week is such a good drama playing out.
Mhm.
Like every character involved could be could be an introduction or an entry point to our friends and family.
Yeah.
And as you build the narrative, you culminate into the main character obviously is Jesus himself.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I would say, I think don't assume that people know the story,
Yeah.
but allow yourself first and foremost yourself to read it.
Mhm.
Like familiarize yourself with the story.
So they start with John 12. If they want to go through the entire Holy Week, what would be your advice? Like where do they go into the scripture to read through?
Uh, well, John 12 was just talking about the Palm Sunday, but you could go through the end chapters of like Matthew and Luke and John and even Mark,
Mhm.
who documents these things. And again, um, like for me personally, like I love hero stories,
Yeah.
right? Like My church is called Heroes Church, right?
Mhm.
And for me, like what my favorite scene is the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Because it's if there was a time, I always think if there was a time Jesus could have folded the mission and said,
I ain't doing
"Ayoko na."
this. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is it. And imagine what you said. You're a parent. You never want your kids to be in pain.
Mm.
Like you know, as a parent, you know when it's a fake cry, right?
Yeah.
You know it's a fake cry. Like your kid is crying, but for no reason.
Mhm.
Like it's just trying to like
Get you to
be
do what they want.
naughty,
Yeah.
but there's a real cry.
Mhm.
That even if you're far away, your kid your kid shouts, you know it's real.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're gonna try to do everything to respond to that cry. Imagine the garden, not only are we featuring Jesus, imagine how the Father is feeling.
Mm.
How the Father is feeling. Like you can imagine at the garden, Jesus was praying and he's like, God, like, take this cup away from me. Jesus has his three top disciples in the corner. He asks them to pray. Three times he engages them. Can you not even wait for me for an hour?
Naantok na sila.
Yeah. Like, I'm telling you, why would you even fall asleep? Like, if you're Peter, James, or John, Jesus invites you after the Last Supper
Mm.
to go with him to pray. Why would you even fall asleep, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to you have to put yourself in their shoes and like, you know, Jesus rarely Jesus brought us here for a purpose. He asks us to wait with him.
Yeah.
He didn't say just hang out. He just
Mm.
said watch and pray with me.
Mm.
And they don't pray. Right? Like for me, like this actually removes any spiritual pride from all Christians.
Yeah.
Because none of us are better than Peter. None of us can be better than James. None of us can be like John.
Mhm.
But these three guys failed Jesus at the time Jesus needed them the most.
Mhm.
If there's just one time you could say, oh, this is the perfect time they can honor Jesus, even just as their friend and master, this was it. But they failed.
Yeah.
Imagine Jesus praying in his peripheral vision. He sees these three sleeping, maybe snoring, maybe like saliva coming out of someone's mouth.
Yeah.
And he's like, these are the three guys who I'm gonna die for. Like this is the best representation of people I'm gonna die
If
for.
anything, that's the best representation of people that he's going to die
Yes,
for. That's
yes,
us.
that's us, right? It's like we're imperfect. We're like sinners. We fail at the wrong moments, and Jesus, imagine, right? Jesus, he could have just given up, right? He could just like, man, like these. I'm dying for these people,
Yeah.
right? Like I taught these people. I lived with these people for 3 years,
Mhm.
right? We worship God every Sunday. None of us can claim we've been with Jesus every day physically,
Yeah.
except these three guys, and they still couldn't do what Jesus asked them to
Mhm.
do. And now Jesus says, Father, like, if it's only possible, let this cup pass away from me. Imagine the parent.
Yeah.
God the Father, is this a fake cry?
Mhm.
This is a real cry, right? And if you're the parent, like, you want to stop this, right?
Yeah.
Like, you also know it's gonna be hard.
Mhm.
You also know, like, what Jesus, you know what's gonna happen.
Mm.
But both the Father and the Son engage this penultimate encounter. And I think this is what makes Jesus the ultimate hero is his secondary statement. The first statement was, Father, if it is possible, take this cup from me. But see, this is where Jesus just gets me. Like gets all of me because Jesus says, but not my will, but yours be done. No one will do that. No one will do that for you. No one will do that for me. Most of us will just complain to God and cry and ask him to remove these things. But Jesus says, but not my will, but yours be done. And we already know the Father. He's like, My only son will die. Like, why would he not stop this?
Yeah.
But what is his will?
Mm-hmm.
Then his will was to save us, give us, give us, that gracious chance to reconnect with him, even though we've sinned.
All for reconciliation.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what makes for me ultimately Jesus as my hero,
Mm.
right? And he deserves, you know all my all my effort, all my praise, because of what he that decision in the garden just basically cemented what he did,
Mm-hmm.
right? And obviously the rest follows, but I think that's an example of, like, I connect with that story. I connect with that part of the narrative.
Hmm.
So your friends, your family might connect with other parts, but
Yeah.
ultimately, it's all full of drama, real drama, true to life, nonfiction, that actually gives us the most important story of our lives.
The most important story of our lives, indeed. Pastor Z, thank you so much for an
Yeah.
incredible insight to Holy Week. And I think such a practical way to culminate this whole conversation, which is there are so many instances, characters, and opportunities in the story of Jesus's walk through Holy Week that we can relate to and
Mm.
open up to our friends and our families too. We hope that this was something that was helpful to you as well. And if you have your own reflections on Holy Week and how you're observing it, please do let us know and share it with us at Adulting with Joy Spring. But for now, that's it for this episode.
Yay.
Maraming salamat, Pastor Z. Thank you for
You're
being
welcome.
here.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Paalam.
Bye.